What's going on, everybody? This is Forrest with the Built on Blue Collar podcast. I am here in Nashville, Tennessee. Today we actually brought the podcast setup with us. It was kind of a last-minute decision, but I'm out here with Jacob Hinton with Rogers Group out here, and we were just kind of driving through, heading to Atlanta, and thought we'd stop in, and it's been kind of a fun visit. And so we've got the usual. We do have some Kentucky straight bourbon. I guess it's 115 proof.
Oh, it's good stuff.
Bottle 82 out of 100 made in the whole world. So it surprisingly wasn't all that expensive, but I thought it was kind of cool that there's only 100 bottles. So we're going to give that a try. It's called Wathens Barrel Proof. So interesting stuff. Let's get that. Watch, I'm going to spill this all over myself. There we go. There's the. Sweet. Get some, brother.
Appreciate it.
So we're just going to drink some Kentucky straight bourbon and talk mining, since that's what Jacob does. He is an ops manager over at one of their quarries here in Tennessee in the Nashville area. And got to visit that quarry yesterday, and then got to visit another one today. So it's been kind of fun, kind of just getting to know this group and being able to meet the kind of people that are in the mining industry. I don't have much experience in mining myself. I'm kind of commercial construction, so this is all kind of new territory for me. But Jacob, tell us a little bit about what you do in your role as plant manager.
Yeah, I mean, so basically I've got 14 guys that I report to me, and a little over 1 million ton a year operation. Nice. And it's just the day-to-day activities at the mine, you know, drilling and blasting, crushing, maintenance, all that good stuff. So
all the good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Well, that's awesome. Are you allowed to say what material you're mining?
Yeah,
Okay.
limestone.
Limestone, awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So mainly, what is limestone used for in the like construction industry and kind of building material wise? Yeah,
so especially here, you know, a lot of what we do it for is a lot of commercial development here in Nashville. You know, this is a great market that we're in, and it's used for concrete, asphalt, mixed design. You know, it's just used all over. And, just crushing all different kinds of sizes of it, and you know, the people that need it for whatever their purpose is, they come and grab it, and we just make more.
That's awesome. Yeah, it was cool to see how much rock, like, you don't realize it just driving on the road. And what's funny is your quarry's just like at the end of a neighborhood. Like, you would have no clue it was there. And you gave me the address, and it was like fairly close to the Tennessee, Nashville, you know, like in the Nashville city limits almost. And it was 10 minutes from like my hotel, and I thought that was crazy because I was like, I don't know where it is. I'm just going to get a hotel in Nashville. And by the way, we are recording this from the hotel lobby. So if there's noise in the background, it's probably people walking around or something going on. So apologize for that ahead of time. But yeah, it was kind of cool. We were, you know, just driving through a neighborhood, and all of a sudden there's a quarry. You don't even notice it's there until you get and look into the quarry. You have no clue it's there, which is awesome.
Yeah, there's an incredible history there. And as Nashville has developed and the needs of crushed rock and aggregate has increased over the years, you know, it's just become a staple, and trying to continue to provide this area with the stuff that they need to keep growing.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, see, it was a lot different than like I expected it to be, because I've seen quarries from like afar, but like I've gone in a few, but not to like the sizes that you guys have. So it's kind of neat. But one thing that we discussed, I think it was yesterday, which I thought was kind of interesting, is like part of the mining industry, like everybody's got a pretty good heart, like in construction. Everybody's like the blue collar heart. You can't fight that kind of pride that you have in your work, and like you can tell that the mining industry definitely has a lot of pride in their work, and they're proud of the services that they offer to the country and the world, and how we're able to like build the country off of what you guys are providing. Well, what I think is funny is that just like the logging industry, mining gets a really bad rap from like the public face of things. And I think it's funny because a lot of people just don't realize like how good mining actually is, and like once you're done with the site, how nice it is after after you reclaim it and everything like that. And I think that's really interesting. And like, I don't know if you can help dive into that process of.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole lot of work and planning that's put into what's going to happen during the life of a mine and what's going to happen after it. I mean, and to your point about saying that we typically get a bad rap, it's that's something that we've got to change. And what we focus on too is that it's not good enough to just exist anymore. We've got to have outreach in the community. We've got to get to know our neighbors and teach everybody what it is that we do, why we do it, what it's for. It's going to continue to help every area that's got a quarry around it, in it, anywhere. It's going to help them prosper. And that's something that we've got to continue to do a better job of.
Yeah, just getting out there to the public and just kind of like, hey, this isn't anything to be hidden, but, check out the process. It's really not that terrible. Because I watched a commercial, I think it was on YouTube or something like that. Whenever you watch a YouTube video, pop up those commercials. And it was something about some kind of green power or battery or something like that. And they were pretty much, they started off the entire process of like, the mine, don't go this route. The mining industry just tears up the land around it and leaves it desolate at the end of it. And I'm like, well, that's just completely false. Like if you've ever been around a mine after it's closed down, like the process of building that area back up for like natural growth is like super extensive. And like the respect there for the land after you're done with it is huge. Yeah. So it's kind of funny how they put that out there, but it's definitely an industry I think needs to be more light needs to be shined on rather than keep it kind of in the dark. But
yeah, especially coming from a family of fourth generation mining in my family, which they were all coal miners prior to me. But hearing a lot of stories about how that stigma kind of started with the industry and coal, and then it seems to kind of get carried over. And even in those industries, there's such a an extensive plan on what they're going to do afterwards.
Yeah,
and
it's not something that's just easy. People don't just dive into a hole with loaders, excavators, and dump trucks and just go to town. Like there's a plan behind it, and I don't really think most people think about that. They just think mining, and they think of like the old coal days where it's just a whole bunch of people underground just whacking away. And that's not mining anymore. You don't just go in there with a pickaxe and start going to that's not practical. So it's just funny the stigma, but yeah. But since you mentioned your fourth generation stuff, let's dive into your history. How did you get into mining? So you went and got your degree. Like that's something different than like the construction industry that I come from. Like most of the people in there, they just kind of start at the bottom and go up. But dive into like why you got into the industry and like the influence through your family, because that's a pretty big influence.
Yeah, I mean my family. I was born in Greenville, Kentucky, and it's that's along with some other states like West Virginia. I mean that's coal country. Yeah, that's where
up in the hills.
Yeah, that's right. Moonshine, coal. That's all.
Some of the prettiest parts of the United States, man. That's
yeah. And it's growing up with those stories. My dad's dad and my mom's dad, both my granddads on each side, and then their dads, and then their dads before them, is Peabody Coal. Yeah. And such a proud history, and, both of them had 40-plus year careers with Peabody.
Awesome.
And growing up with that and just really just having an appreciation for it, kind of like what you're talking about with the passion that we have in blue collar.
Yeah.
And so I ended up, after I graduated high school, I worked on the ground at an asphalt plant in Gallatin, Tennessee.
Nice.
And went off to college and ended up studying mining engineering in Missouri at Missouri S&T in Rolla. And had a couple internships with Rogers Group, and then I've been with them ever since.
Nice. So you were interning with them, did you say during college or after college?
During college.
During college,
yep.
Okay.
My junior and senior year, I interned with them and then came on full-time afterwards.
Yeah.
So.
Did you have a program in your college that showed you that Rogers Group was out there, or were they big in the area so you already knew that they were there?
We had career fairs twice a year, And for the mining department specifically, you know, there'd be 200 plus companies that would show up for all the different. It was a big engineering school, and we had all these companies show up, and we just kind of went around, gave them our resume, chatted with them, and then your hope was that you would get an internship or a co-op or, you know, whatever it may be. And I just got fortunate.
Yeah,
and
that's awesome.
Just worked my butt off, and here I am today. So
that's it.
Yeah,
the hard work really pays off, especially going through college, and like you got your engineering degree. And I was talking to Zach earlier today, one of your other plant managers, and it's cool to we talked a heavy bit about college versus not college, and like the position that you guys are in. College is like extremely important for that. The engineering degree that you got in the mining field, that's extremely important. And I always joke about college because like I went to college for 2 years. I dropped out, and then I worked in construction and like rose up that way a lot faster than I probably should have. But I always kind of like joke about college, like, oh, you don't need a college education in the blue collar field. But like you guys, like in the mining field, that was a key aspect to probably the job that you guys have now, and the experience that you're getting and gaining. You've got a lot more knowledge because of the degree. So are you happy that you got the degree? Obviously, it led you to Roger Group.
I am.
In a whole, like the college degree, would you need that for the position that you have now? And did it help?
It definitely helps a lot, but I will preface that by saying that, you know, I don't think that the college degree is a necessity. You know, I think that it definitely helps expedite things, but you still got to have that drive, and you still got to have the passion to be able to go in there and really just grind and do your best and learn from these people around us that have the experience that we've still got to get. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, I think the learning aspect and like the experience is in any industry in the blue collar world, whether it's oil, gas, mining or anything. I think the like on the ground, boots on the ground training and education is important. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, and it's kind of neat the different areas, I guess, the routes that you can go with that degree in the mining field. Like I talked a little bit about it with Zach, but like as far as like your career path and how you keep raising, you've got all sorts of different branches in the company that you can go off and try. And I think that's cool because you can almost take any kind of person, and I always say that like not everybody's meant for the blue collar industry, and that's how we kind of want it, right? You got to have a hard work ethic, you got to have some good character, and you got to have some like real values, right, in your life. But if you've got that kind of stuff, you could be like any kind of person, man, woman, whatever, and have any kind of background and still love the industry and go into like different routes in the industry. And I think that's pretty cool as far as the career opportunities there.
It really is. I mean, it really opens the door, because even it just kind of, it gets you prepared coming into it for the multiple opportunities. I mean, you could go environmental operations, like Zach and I did, or you could go, actual engineering. Yeah. And, you might call me crazy for going to get an engineering degree and go into operations, but that's my passion, man.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it.
So engineering is more in the office, right? Analytics and all that kind of, I mean, I think that's meant for a certain type of person, right? And then the ops side is definitely meant for a certain kind of person. Like, I don't know if I'd ever be able to do I don't think I'd be able to get an engineering degree anyway. I'm not smart enough for that.
Shoot, come on.
But the fact that like the ops versus like sitting in and doing engineering, I would never be able to perform on the engineering side. I'd just be too bored. Going out on the site would be where I'd have to be.
It's the best, man. It's different every day. I mean, and the cool thing they did at S&T in Rolla was that, they say, there's a very clear distinction between whether you want to go into coal or gold or copper or aggregate. Yeah. And that's really going to determine, like, you need to figure that out. That's a big deal, because there's a lot more actual engineer opportunities in those other fields.
Oh, really?
And versus, aggregate, where if you've got that personality and that drive and those, those values like you talked about, that's definitely where it's at. And, man, I love it.
Yeah. Well, so what got you into doing aggregate rather than like coal like your family or gold or anything?
The big part was just number one was just location. I mean, there's quarries. I mean, you could literally pick any city in the country and find
anywhere on the planet, man.
Yeah, and it's just that was the big thing. And then looking at future outlook too. You know, I think coal's come an incredibly long way, and it gets a bad rap.
It does
for what it
is,
is.
of course.
And
It's like the gas industry. You know, oil and gas gets a bad rap, but really you need it for any kind of part that you have. I mean,
and I know if I was in that industry, I would love it too.
Yeah.
You know, but that's what my family always did.
Yeah.
But just the sheer availability of what's around.
Yeah.
And having that flexibility, and then just it's going to be there.
Yeah. Well, it was funny because driving back from the quarry to the hotel, I was looking at I was driving under some underpasses and overpasses and looking at the base rock that it's sitting on, and I'm like, that's pretty much the stuff that they're mining out there. Like, there's not a lack of it. As long as you can buy the land, like, you're gonna have aggregate. I mean, and it's funny to look at like the footprint, and there's some really loud people behind us, aren't they? We're probably picking those guys up on the.
It's fine.
Yeah,
they'll be all right.
But so it's funny when you look at the footprint of a quarry like yours, and from the eye view, it looks like a big quarry. It looks like a big footprint. Like, man, that's large. But then you look from like the map, and you can hardly tell it's there.
Yeah.
Like that's funny in itself. The fact that you can not even know that's there, but it's just this massive quarry.
Yeah.
And like the lack of material is never going to be there. You're always going to have it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's awesome. Well, so your family was in coal. So did you get any like really cool stories from your grandparents about the industry? What are some of your favorite stories when you'd sit at Grandpa's house?
Man, I think they hit me a couple different ways.
Yeah.
So the stories that really where they tried to deter me from the industry was of a lot of the bad things that happened.
Yeah.
But that also makes me very grateful for the safety mindset of who I'm with now, and how we really push that because of where mining started.
Yeah.
But the one that hit me the most was talking about how, growing up through the Great Depression, coal was the job that, you worked a lot of long hours, and that's what supported the family. They grew up and didn't have much and just continued. He stayed in those coal mines grinding and just working his tail off. And, thankfully that he did, because my grandparents still live in the same house that they bought when they got out of high school.
That's so cool.
And I go up and see him, and just his collection of, mining memorabilia. And it was his pride along with the struggles that he went through, and that mining was what supported that.
Yeah. And I'm sure he had a big chest of, like, man, this is what I did, And that's so cool to have the history in the family too, because like my family, we never did construction. As far as I know, like minor construction. Like my dad worked like concrete and stuff like that. But like as like a full career, there's no like family history behind construction. But it's still something that I take pride in. But like having the history, like I'm huge on history, and we talked about that a little bit.
Yep.
About like the history of the mining industry is just amazing. Like as long as history has been written, mining has been going on.
Yep.
And that's just so cool to have the American mining story of all these old time Kentucky miners, just out there and kind of what they went through, especially during that time of the Depression.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, and that rolls right into kind of something that I think you and I hit it off on when we first started talking, was just meeting these people that are in this industry.
Yeah.
That has been single-handedly one of the coolest things that I've gotten to do since I got into this industry. And
just meeting people.
Was old enough to understand what was going on. I wasn't just like a teenager right out of high school working to go buy some wheels and tires for my pickup truck, so I could be the cool kid.
Yeah, exactly.
Realizing what we do and how it impacts
Yeah.
everyone around us. And then
For sure.
the same passion I see in a lot of these guys that, work at our quarry, work at the other quarries. And, I don't know. Maybe it's just us, but that just if that doesn't
It's-
drive you to want to be better every single day, I don't know
Honestly,
what's going to.
no, I mean like what gets me up every day is like when I walked into your quarry yesterday and I got to shake everybody's hand and just say hi, and like new faces. They're probably looking at me holding the camera and be like who's this punk coming on site taking photos? But like it's cool because I get to talk to those guys, and that's what's so cool. And we talked about this on the last podcast with the four guys from Dallas, is that you get a brotherhood in this industry that I don't think you have in any other industry that I know of. Sales, I'm sorry, but you're just not going to have the same brotherhood that you have when you're out in the blue collar industry, like sweating and just giving your all.
It's almost like military style.
Well, and that's what we talked about in the last podcast too. Is one of the guys or two of the guys were in the Army, and they're like, it's like the Army, and the chain of command is kind of, the discipline, the chain of command, and the respect for like leadership and that kind of thing. It's like the military almost, and that's. I mean, you guys live and breathe it, every day with each other, and like you see each other more than you see your families. Yeah. So it's really neat, and I think like if there's anybody out there that is like, I just need to find something where like I have like a family that can like back me up, like the mining, construction, oil and gas industry is where it's at. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the problem that we're facing as an industry, is getting people to come in. That's. And I know it's got to be something that people are experiencing across the country. I know it's not just us. Yeah. But finding young people that want to come in and take pride in what they do and be able to develop a career
and work for it. Yeah. I think nowadays everything is off your phones, and it's so easy to access. Anything, any kind of, I don't know, achievement nowadays is like Instagram likes. Yeah. It's easy. So like, it's those people out there that don't really give a crap about that stuff that'll find you and give it all, But I think like social media is huge into attracting those people. Even though like I hate social media and I hate like the technology, the phone and it. I think it's ruining like personal connection with people. Yeah. But at the same time, it helps as long as you use it right. Like I always say that like when I went to Con Expo this last year, it was my first year ever going to Con Expo. Never knew any of those people, but I knew them from Instagram, and I felt like they were, like I had known them for years when I met them, and it was just because I chatted with them on Instagram. And same thing with you. The funny story about how should I say?
Go ahead.
All right,
that's right in line what we're talking about.
Yeah. So I was just getting on TikTok, like just to play around, just to see if it would be even beneficial for our business at all. I was like, this is just for little kids. There's no way there's any value in this at all. And, of course, all I was searching was construction and mining and all that kind of stuff. And for a while, I was just reposting old videos that I had with our clients, or I was posting, like, videos of me on site, and they were getting no traction, like 5, 10 likes. And all these other TikToks are like 30,000, 50,000, 5 million. And I'm like, I'm never going to make it on this app. And then I actually gave one video effort. It's my first video that I like, let me edit this to make the screen size right and everything like that. And I posted it, and okay, it was a lot of likes to me, but it got like 50,000 views and 8,000 likes. And I was like, oh wow, that's a lot. And I gained 3,000 followers in like a day. And there were like 300 comments, and one of the comments was yours. And I was like, go check out our Instagram and shoot me a message. And then you did, and then I think we just got to talking about what you were doing. You were like, this is pretty cool. And had you followed me for a while on Instagram, or was that the first time?
Yeah, so I'm kind of like you. I despise social media. Yeah. The only reason I get on is if I'm reading forums about mining, construction, whatever it is. And I don't even know if I follow anybody on TikTok. I was just scrolling through
the usual swiping, swiping up,
and I was just like, I'm scroll through it, see what's going on, and I guess it correlates your likes with tailored content, and so yours popped up, and I was like, man, that's cool, and I just threw a comment on there, but
well, it's just so cool because in my mind, as like a business owner, small business owner. We're not huge at all, but like in my mind, I'm like, is this app really worth my effort? And just making the connections that I've made in the last day and a half, 2 days, has been 100% worth putting the effort into making TikTok videos. And it's really funny, just because, like, I preach this all the time to the companies that we work with that, like, are old school, and they're like, we're not on social media, we're not going to gain anything off social media, this is useless for us. My thing that I always preach to them is, like, one, it doesn't take a lot of effort to take good content and put it up there, and it could gain you a ton. And two, like, this is getting your business presence out there and making it personal. Like, even though it doesn't seem like it is, because it's hard to get started on social media, like, the relationships you're going to make off of it are going to be like 100 times worth it. So
it was running into those clowns like me that's just scrolling through.
Exactly. Yeah, just like checking it out. And yeah, I'm happy that happened, because I mean, it's been cool coming out here, and it was perfect timing too, because obviously I'm heading over to Atlanta, and for all those people that have messaged me on Instagram, I had like 5 or 6 people message me on Instagram, and they were all like, it's easier to fly out to Tennessee than drive from Texas. And I was like, yeah, you're right.
You've got a point.
Yeah, but for all those people that did message me on that, I'm heading on the way to a buddy's wedding in Atlanta, and I'm detouring in Tennessee to meet up with these guys. So bringing the wife and the kids and the dog. Yeah. So all of that would not be easier flying.
Yeah, no.
But I've had to explain that like multiple times, because I'm like, okay, all right, let me explain it to you.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, social media is huge. And like, okay, so let's dive into. So we met from TikTok, out of all freaking places.
Yeah,
that's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
But for businesses, like, what are the benefits that you can see from both sides being a business, and then also the benefits of just somebody that's an operator or somebody that's out there in the field that wants to get into the industry? On both sides of the spectrum, what are the benefits of being on social media and being up to date with the industry?
Man, from a business perspective, I think that, just really being able to showcase your work and showcase your employees and the kind of culture that you've got in your company, I think that's what's going to bring the people in.
Yeah.
Well, the right people.
Yeah, the right people are what we're trying to shoot for.
Because, it's not always going to be sexy. It's not always going to be, it's not all glamorous. Yeah. But I think that from the business side, that's the biggest impact that it could have, just in my opinion.
Yeah.
Just being able to give people a overview, in a quick snippet of what life is like.
Yeah.
And for the employee or the potential employee looking, I think you've got to kind of. I can only think, if I was an equipment operator and I wanted to go through and look at the companies and look at their culture. I interviewed a guy the other day, and he was looking at old employee reviews on Indeed.
No way.
For Rogers Group, trying to come over there and work.
And all of them were 100% good feedback.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, man, it's and he was like, man, you guys have good reviews, and that means a lot to me, because I came from a family-owned business, and unfortunately it closed, and I'm looking for that same kind of atmosphere.
See, and that's huge.
Yeah.
The family atmosphere is huge. And what's cool is y'all are a really good sized company. And being able to have that many people and have that family atmosphere is what I wish every company had, because that's what brings in the right kind of people, like you said. Like, I talked with every single one of your guys out there on the quarry, and okay, I lied. The loader operator was running 24/7. I didn't get to talk to him. Yeah. However, they all had, like, they loved it. They were having a blast. And like the morale when you were doing the safety training in the morning, everybody was just happy with each other. The usual
great crew.
Yeah, it's so cool, to see that. Because you can tell when you walk on like a bad site with a company that's not operating with good culture, it's just like really bad feeling. Like the morale there is terrible. But just like walking on site and like seeing everybody smiling, laughing, joking around with each other, but like
that's the greatest part, man. I mean, and to be with this company, that's what they encourage. They want. It's from the top down. We're still family owned. It's top down, making sure everybody understands the value that they bring to the table, and just really showing the guys that we appreciate them. Yeah, and we do, man. We've got a great crew over there, and you know, and it's like you said earlier, we spend more time with each other than we do anywhere else. And,
Absolutely, yeah.
and we've got to, you know, it's like I tell a lot of guys when I interview them, you know, I don't necessarily look at
The credentials.
your credentials.
Yeah.
I want to talk to you. I want to see what your aspirations are, what kind of person you are, and if you fit our culture, then man, I mean, you can be safe and you fit our culture, you're in.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how we built our crew, and they're awesome.
Yeah.
Good dudes.
Well, and, you know, like, sometimes you just got to weed out the bad ones, you know, and especially, like, in any company. There's going to be those good guys that come in and just rock it. Like, you have a guy that's been there for 3 months.
Yep.
And he's loving it. Like,
Yep.
he's just he was nonstop running yesterday. And I finally stopped him. I'm like, can I get a headshot of you? And I snapped a headshot of him, and it's a pretty cool shot. I'll have to send it to you. But, like, he was just happy, and he wanted to show off what he was doing. He's like, oh, I'm going down to do this. You want to ride along? Let's check it out. I was like, hell yeah, I want to ride along. Let's go down.
Come
And
on with it.
Yeah, and it's, you know, it's just simple, like, maintenance that you guys are doing and everything, but he's loving it. He's passionate about it, and you can tell that even though he's been there for just 3 months, that he's going to want, you know, to keep running that site like it's his own, you know.
Yeah.
And I thought that was neat.
I think that's honestly that's one of the hardest parts as a manager too, is to try to find like what really makes everybody tick.
Yeah.
And trying to find how, you know, how they value appreciation.
Yeah.
And what form of appreciation really gets them, like, you know, hey, gets them thinking, you know, I'm doing something cool here. And these guys, I mean, and the cool part about it is it all circles back to the pride thing.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys, they know the kind of impact that they have on the day-to-day, and they do. They got a lot of pride, and they should.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, you don't find people like that every day.
Yeah, and that's a good point about, like being in your position and try to find those people. Like, what I always say is that, like, to be a good leader, you really have to know how to read people. Like, that's, like, probably one of your more important parts of your job is being able to know different people. Like, what makes them tick. Like, to be a good teacher, you need to know how to teach more than just one way. To be a good teacher, you have to know the different characteristics of people, because not everybody's the same. Everybody's completely different. And being able to find the personal connection between those people and be able to, like, feed, like, their passion is huge when you're in, like, a leadership role. And I don't think, like, a lot of people ever think about that. They're just like, oh, they're just managing a site. No, they're managing people. The core to these people, that's what they're managing. Because if you can't manage that, then, you know, you're going to have issues with some of your, you know, operations. But, you know, yeah.
And it's hard, man, because everybody's going to have bad days.
Yeah.
And when we're having a bad day, you know, as a manager, you've got to just get over that. And you can't
just keep pushing it. And
you can't let it rub off on them.
You can't show it.
Yeah. And that's been the craziest thing, you know, and trying to navigate that channel of management and trying to be as successful as possible and developing teams and just
Well, so that brings two questions to mind. Is one, do you have anything that, like, as a manager, that you do to help alleviate that kind of, because that's stress built on, obviously you can't show the kind of stress that you're being put under to the guys, because you don't want it to really drive their morale, you know, down. But how do you train yourself, or how do you go about fighting that and kind of, like, just helping it out?
Man, because I'm kind of a bad person to ask that, because I'm the type of guy that'll work 80 hours a week if I, you know,
if they allow,
or if that's necessary. But you know, the biggest thing is just being able to come home at the end of the day and just finding something that you enjoy, and just trying to
getting
relax.
a hobby
you know,
or something.
I enjoy reading books. You know, I do a lot of different things. I'm terrible at it, but I play golf.
Yeah.
Terrible.
I'll go to, like, Topgolf or the driving range, but that's something I want to learn really, you know, bad, is how to actually get on the course and play.
I play with a buddy who's really good the other day, 2 weekends ago, and it just really confirmed my reflection that I'm just terrible, you
Yeah.
know. And but it's just fun to get out there and play and get to walk and
Yeah.
you just. But that's the thing, is just trying to find something that you can just kind of take your mind off of it for a little while. But it's hard because you always have that in the back of your mind that the decisions that you make could directly impact
the whole crew.
Yeah, and
the whole company.
And that's something that, you know, we don't take lightly.
Yeah.
And trying to be, it's something that's always going to be there. And I think that you've got to navigate it the best you can.
Yeah.
And to exactly what we just talked about earlier, you know, some people are made for operations and some people aren't.
Yeah.
And you just it's a grind. Every day's a grind. So
well, and I think part of the reason why you're able to do it is because, like, that passion we were talking about with people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because, like, you're able to grind that hard because you've got that passion for people.
Yeah.
Because you want them to succeed. You want your team to succeed. You want the company to succeed. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing, is, like, being in a company that has, like, a good mission behind it and can drive their people with that mission is huge for morale. But, yeah. Okay, so then my second question was, what I've noticed is there are a lot of young guys like yourself in the management roles, and that's awesome. But I just lost my train of thought. What am I asking? So that's where I was. As a young guy in a management role, have you had any issues with, you know, the veterans of the industry and being able to get over that respect gap?
Yeah.
Because I think that was one of my issues going up through the industry, is being able to, like, lead guys that were easily twice my age, that had twice the experience, and still gain that respect that they're just, you know, off the start of it, they're probably not going to give you it,
right?
You know, but have you had issues like that, and how did you overcome that respect gap?
You know, I've been very fortunate because I have had what to me felt like was a little pushback on some of the more experienced, you know, whether, you know, whatever position they might be in, equipment operators, whatever, trying to step in and say, oh, well, this young kid's going to, you know, be our boss. But the first thing I do right off the bat, you know, hey, guys, this piece of paper that says I've got this degree, that doesn't mean crap. You know, this is nothing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm here to try to facilitate you guys, and I'm going to learn from you, and we're going to make this thing go as a team. And I think as time has gone on and I've learned more, and I know that, and still to this day, I rely heavily on people with a lot more experience than me to help make better decisions every day. And these guys know that I'm not going out there and just making decisions. I'm not a cowboy running around. This isn't a dictatorship. This isn't Jacob's Quarry.
Yeah.
You know, we're a group, and just really trying to instill that sense of, you know, that they can make their own decisions, and right, wrong, or indifferent. You know, if it's right decision, awesome. You know, you did a great job. We're going to celebrate that. And if it's wrong, we're going to talk about it, and we're all going to learn, whether it's me or whoever.
Well, because not anything that you guys do on a daily basis is the same.
Right.
No matter how much rock you pull out of that quarry, it's going to be in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
So the strategy is always different, which means your obstacles are always going to be different, and you're going to learn from those every single day. You know. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
I would say, just to summarize all that, it would just be, it's coming in and making sure that they understand that you don't think you know everything.
See,
right
the humility coming out the gate is big, because there are a lot of guys that will come straight out of college and right into a management position, and just think, okay, I'm in this management position, and a lot of times that's driven from that attitude of pride, and, like, that's, I guess, height of confidence. That really should be trimmed down to the humility portion. A lot of times that's driven from the leadership in the company, where the leadership goes, you're the head guy in charge, be the head guy in charge, period.
Yeah.
Run those guys to work. And that's those kind of leadership, that kind of leadership mentality is what drives these young guys coming out of college to really fail, because the veterans in the industry aren't going to respect you if you just come out the gate swinging. You know, it's just, like, why do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where I've been very fortunate too. I've had some great bosses, great mentors that they'll, you know, they set the boundaries.
Yeah.
And I've got to navigate my way through those boundaries.
Yeah.
And then they just coach me along the way. And I've still got a long way to go, man. But it's been a fun ride. And, you know, the crew that you got to meet at the quarry, I mean, they just that's one of the things I'm most proud about, honestly, in my life to this point is, you know, hey, you know, we built this crew.
Yeah.
And these guys all feel that their work is appreciated, and nobody cares that, you know, I might be younger than them or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's, you know, we're just a team, and I think a lot of that's just because of the company that I work for. You know, Rogers Group really fosters that.
Yeah.
So
I've noticed it's such a cool culture just over the last day and a half. Like, it's been really cool, especially to see, because I don't work with a lot of large companies. So to, like, come in and see that on, like, a large company, like, atmosphere has been really neat. And, like, the safety culture is, like, second to none. Like, you can't find a better safety culture, in my opinion. Like, I haven't, you know. and that's just from me looking from the outside in, but it's amazing. And everyone on that site took it personal. They take safety serious.
Yeah.
From the lowest guy out there to the top.
Yeah, and I
awesome.
appreciate that, because that's our biggest thing. And we tell them that when we interview them. Say, look, man, if you can come in here and you can work safe, you can make whatever kind of career you want to out of this place.
Yeah.
And that's basically the only main prerequisite, you know, is that you be safe, then, I mean, the sky's the limit. And I'm a testament to that. All the other people that you've met, you know, we've got a young management group here, and you know, we really push that kind of development to where, you know, if you've got that drive and you're willing to grind, they're gonna put you in it, and they're gonna test you, and that goes for everybody. Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah, because it's like like I've been in companies where, like, safety wasn't a big deal, and those were smaller companies that like had no worth in the world of construction. Like, they were so small that, like, it was just like, yeah, we'll do it no matter how unsafe it is, right? Yeah. And that's how I, like, learned off the bat, was that. And then I started working in companies that were bigger and bigger and bigger. And I had, luckily, some mentors that really taught me a lot about safety culture. And safety was always big in my mind, even when I was in the small companies and they weren't treating it right. I was like, look, it's not worth doing that unsafe. Like, me getting paid $9 an hour isn't worth dying over, you know?
No, not at all.
Framing houses. Like, I'm not going to go 5 stories up and walk on a 2x4 wall, you know, with no, like, fall, like, there's just no reason. I had a piece of plywood almost take me off a 5-story roof because of the wind. Yeah. And after that, I was just like, this isn't worth it. Like, I've got, you know, a wife, and I'm like, no, it's just not worth it. So, like, going into, like, a big company and seeing the safety culture, that's one thing, like, in the last, I'd say 5 years of my career has been, like, a huge portion of my, like, value in the industry. Is like, if we can't do it safe, you don't do it at all, period. You shut it down until you can find a way to do it safe. If we have to plan for another week to find a safe way to do it, then that's what we're going to do. And a lot of companies don't have that mentality. They're like, production. Yeah. It's like, yeah, but you can get production done on a safe manner. And
that's right.
When you put safety first and focus on safety, you probably end up producing more because your guys are more confident with what they're doing, you know. So it's neat.
Yeah, exactly.
But, yeah. Well, shoot, man, what else can we talk about? I mean, I mean, the guys I've met out here were awesome. You guys are. Can we talk about any specifics of the site? Probably not.
I mean, what's your question?
So you guys are blasting right now to start an underground portion of.
Yeah, we will be eventually. Yeah, we're getting prepared to go underground there. Yes.
So, on underground, because I don't know anything about underground or just surface mining. But what are some of the, like, obvious major differences between surface mining and, like, underground mining?
Yeah. one of the main ones that comes out, especially in, you know, urban markets, is that, you know, once you get established underground, there's a lot less environmental or community impact. You know, the blasts are a lot smaller.
Yeah.
You don't get the same amount of vibration. You know, you might, depending on where you're at, it's a lot quieter, less vibration, but there's so many more steps in it, man. It's not as simple as just, you know, pushing a berm off, scraping it down to solid rock, and then coming in, laying out a shot, and shooting it. You know, it's, you know, you gotta go in and drill it. You gotta muck it out, then you gotta go in and scale it, and then roof bolt, and then you start the whole process over again.
Yeah.
So there's a lot more to it than it's a lot more intricate process than surface mining, for sure.
Well, and then you got like ventilation that you've got to take care of.
Oh, absolutely.
You've got, you know, the routes and the engineering between the, you know, the support underneath. You know, there's just an unimaginable amount of like engineering and like smarts.
Constantly moving, like, especially in a new development, you've got to make sure that your primary and secondary escape ways are up to date, not only on your maps, but actually in the mine. And, you know.
That was one thing I thought was cool when I went through, like, part of your training was the routes that, you know, the primary, secondary, and, like, escape routes. Mm-hmm. Like, it's really neat. You know, obviously, like, it's just normal to you guys, but, you know, just looking at that kind of stuff is really cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of, and that's one of those things, you know, kind of like what we talked about that's where, you know, there's a lot of guys that have a whole bunch of underground mining experience. Yeah. And I don't have years and years of underground mining experience, but those guys that do, I mean,
being able to utilize their experience.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And those are the guys that, you know, you'd follow into the fire. Yeah. You know, if they said, this is good over here, you know, yes, sir, we're on it.
Yeah.
And, but there's a whole lot of effort that's put into that. And those, it's incredible.
So what do you prefer the most? Do you like surface or do you like underground? Is there a preference, or do you like the whole process?
I don't know that I necessarily have a preference. Yeah. I think that you get a whole lot of additional challenges in an underground mine that I think make it a little more intriguing especially to, you know, to equipment operators and people that are going to be actually working in it all the time. Yeah. I think that it adds a whole new level of uniqueness to it that it just kind of separates it from
it's just different.
Yeah, it's
just different. Like it's hard to like explain, but like going from your open pit mine down to the underground, it was like like there's a lot of moving parts here that you really don't think of unless you're kind of in that position to look at them. You know,
there really is, and it. Yeah, I don't know that I've got a preference to it.
You kind of like it all. I mean, you're passionate for all of it.
Man, it's just one of those things where we're alive. We've got jobs, man. It's not anything that I would just be, you know, I wouldn't be heartbroken if it was either way.
You know, I think something cool about mining is, I might sound harsh, but I like hate society.
Just going under and getting away.
Yeah, I mean, it's just cool. Like I think that's part of the reason why I like the industry so much is that like I just get to go out on like raw land and just sit there and take it in. Yeah. You know, and the diesel smell is fun. You know,
I love
the sound of diesel, you know, equipment is a blast, and just the morale is just so much fun. And so like you get to escape the city, you get to escape the society. That
it's like our own little world.
Yeah. And it's fun to just go out there and just be part of that and do your job, take pride in it, and provide for America and provide for your family and make a good living and survive. You know,
one of the new guys that we just hired, after he started working his first day, he came in and talked to me after he got done with his shift, and he said, "Man, this is, you know," he was just real grateful for the job. He said, "This is like a giant, you know, sandbox for adults."
Yeah. And honestly, though.
And he's like, I love it. And I said, man, that's awesome.
Yeah.
You know, because it is. It's like you getting away from the world. We're with each, you know, it's just like it's a little family and you're just playing this adult sandbox.
Yeah. Well, and that's so cool because, you know, like we have this discussion all the time with other people, but like the office isn't for everybody. you know? And why grow out of the sandbox when you could just make it bigger?
That's right.
And play in it. And I guarantee you the equipment you're playing with when you're 5 in the sandbox is not nearly as fun as when you get to an adult and you start playing with this stuff. This is fun.
Yeah.
I mean, the sheer power behind some of this stuff that you're out there moving.
It's incredible.
And the respect that you got to give it, you know?
Yeah.
Man, this is powerful, you know?
Yeah, and that's a direct testament to the skill that these people have. I mean, across the industry as a whole. I mean, these people that can operate this equipment and do it with the skill that they've got, it's amazing.
One thing I've always thought was interesting is like people out in the public, their typical thought process of like a blue collar person is like not a very smart or like intelligent like view.
Yeah.
But shoot, man, like the guys that you have on your crew, like the intelligence level there, the amount of like knowledge that is there is unreal. Like I felt stupid yesterday.
Dude.
Just because it's like, man, these guys really freaking know their stuff. Like like they love it and they know it's not like they're just going to play. Like there's a plan and this, you know, this is like
subject matter experts, man.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's so cool because I talked to any of those guys and they all were just blah 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 blah, and I'm like, I don't know what you're saying. I love it. Like
it's cool.
It's sweet. Like keep going. Like I learned so much yesterday. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, get just, you know, someone that might have that outlook on just a typical operator or something. Yeah. Go jump in the cab of a yard loader and try to operate these scales and get this guy's tonnage exactly right on the nose, and then
I was watching one of your operators do that where he's just emptying a little bit just to get the right amount of tonnage. And I was like, he knows it to the rock.
Yeah.
What he needs to place in that dump truck. Yeah. That's cool. Yeah. But I mean, so let's get back to like younger generation and this industry. It's super tough getting anybody into the industry that's like young, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of the problem that I see like all around, and everybody says, man, it's so tough to get good, hardworking young people. And I think not that they're not out there, but one of the big things that the reason why I quit my job was because I think there are so many bad companies out there that they're ruining these young guys in the industry.
Yeah.
And I think they're giving them this bad example. And then it's really hard for good companies to come and say, like, that's the bad way of doing things. Like, trust me, like, come over here and you'll have a blast and you'll be safe and you'll make a good paycheck and you're going to love what you do. Yeah. And I think that's really tough to fix, is that bad culture from other bad companies and being one of the few good companies out there that's really trying to drive some change in the industry.
Yeah.
I mean,
and the big problem we get too is, you know, people get burnt out. You know, like some of these young guys come into the industry and, you know, they might get thrown into a job where they're working, you know, expected to work 80, 90 hours a week, and that's just not the way that it needs to be.
It's not a 9 to 4.
Yeah.
It's like my friends that like work like office jobs. Like when I was in construction, I was waking up at 3, opening up the job site, closing it down by 10. Like I was working a lot of hours.
Yeah.
And they were just like, why do you get up that early? And I'm like, because the job requires it. And they're like, dude, I get up at 8 and I stroll in by 9. And I'm like, dude, like half my day is over by that time.
Yeah.
Like
I couldn't tell you.
I've already pumped.
Get up at 8.
I've pumped 1,000 yards of concrete by 9 o'clock. Like what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it just baffles me because it's just norm.
Yeah.
In the industry, like, and that's one thing like I've always kept in. I guess I want to keep in my business as I grow it is like it's not a 9 to 5. Like we're gonna work as hard as these companies that we're working with are gonna be working. You know, and you know it's hard sometimes with family and stuff like that. But they, you know, at the same time, you're still able to do that and have good family time if you know if the priority's right. There's just those long times in the process where you're like, okay, for this amount of time, we're going to be working our tails off.
Yep.
And then there's a position where you're like, okay, we could take a little bit of a break, you know. But it'll burn the wrong guys out, and I think that's good. I think it's good that it burns them out.
Yeah, it's, you know, and that's the thing is it's that coupled along with the fact that they might know what the expectation is coming in.
Yeah.
You know, they might get fed a line of, you know, you're going to make X amount of dollars and, you know, you're only going to have to work this much this week. And, I think it's not given the right expectation leading into it. And it's just, and it's not for everyone.
Yeah,
but I
it's
don't.
not.
It's something that we've got to get out there and let people know the opportunities that what there is.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's definitely not for everybody. But the people that it is for, they'll just thrive.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those that like I always say, you've got to be a little bit crazy to be in this industry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's just you got to be crazy passionate about it is all.
Yeah.
You know. And
then that's when you run into guys on like TikTok that just scrolling through, well, looking at cool videos.
I still joke about that is crazy. Like I did not give TikTok like any validation whatsoever. Like this is just a crappy platform. Like and you can. I always say, like the reason why they call it TikTok is because it just wastes all your time. You're just sitting there scrolling, like just wasting the time away. But it was really valuable for what meeting people. So it's really I've had some really cool conversations on TikTok so far, and I never expected that ever. So it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's a lot too. Like a lot of the other platforms as well. I mean, you could sit there and waste your entire day away.
Yeah.
I mean, if
you have no discipline in your time.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I'm one of those guys that gets on there, and I've got like Mining Mayhem and some other pages that I follow, construction pages, and looking at a lot of cool work people are doing. Reading up on some articles of some other companies, and then I think most of my time spent on LinkedIn, just reading a lot of articles that companies put out. But
how valuable is LinkedIn for you in like your career? Like if you were to say that to like somebody else, like somebody that doesn't look into LinkedIn.
LinkedIn wasn't for me, how I got in my role. I think that was getting involved with the school, the career fairs, and then just networking in general. Yeah. And that's something that, COVID has really reinforced with me, is that there's just nothing like being able to go out and meet people in person.
Honestly.
It's just, goodness gracious, it doesn't even compare. But, the thing I do like about LinkedIn is that it's not as much public opinion. You don't get to see all these people posting, their, what they ate for lunch at Panera Bread or, their Starbucks coffee. Yeah. It's actually relevant data to, things that you've selected as your interests. And, so just for my overall understanding of the industry and things that other companies are doing, and getting great ideas from other people, other managers that I follow. Yeah. It's been invaluable to me.
That's awesome. Even just for learning. Yeah, because some people sell their entire – we've got somebody we just met, and he loves LinkedIn because it helps his sales, and it helps him connect with really cool people. And that's really cool about LinkedIn, but there are so many different uses for it. Education, like growing a resume, like building – like an online resume is extremely important on LinkedIn. Like the first place I go when I start researching people for our clients is LinkedIn, because that's typically the most updated, education and like resume that they have, and it's just easy to go up there and do that. But yeah, I mean, I read a lot of stuff I would have never learned if I didn't have like LinkedIn and just like seeing it on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, we'll get to one last point. What is your advice for those young guys that are either in the industry or looking to come into the industry on like a mining perspective?
From a mining perspective, I think that it is absolutely critical that you find what your passion is. If it's environmental, if it's operations, being involved in the day-to-day production of whatever it is, whether it's coal, metal, non-metal, aggregates, whatever. You just need to get affiliated with, groups like NSSGA, people that every year have these, these big get-togethers, whether it's Ag One or Con Expo, things like that, and or just looking around in your community, because they're everywhere. Yeah. And just getting to just start having conversations, just frank conversations with people about what their day-to-day life is like, and just getting involved with your passion. And
just getting involved in general.
And then not giving up. If it's something that you truly have a passion for, every single person has a terrible day, you know, at some point, but
because I
you
think
can't give up on it.
Yeah, I think the bad thing about some companies on Instagram and like the bad thing about like social media is you can give off like rainbows and butterflies. Like it's perfect out here. You know, we don't work. It's not a hard job. It is a hard job. You know, but like you'll attract the wrong people if you do that. But being realistic and showing the grit about the industry is vital to attracting the right kind of person you want on the job. But there are a lot. I mean, I get messages all the time, and I don't know why they're messaging me because I'm clueless. But all I tell them is just go find somebody, man. They'll be like, you know, how do I get an operator position? Do you have anybody that you know is hiring? And it's like there's companies hiring everywhere. Yeah. Every single construction company. I don't care which one you go to. Yep. They are hiring. Any kind of mining company that you go to, they are hiring. Yeah. Everybody's hiring right now, and it's maybe not the one that you want, but every single one of them is. You need to get that experience and get out there and experience, like you said, what you love. And sometimes, and what's the best way to discover that in your point of view? Because that's something that you said in college that they really reinforced was find what division of mining you want to be in and what you're passionate about and go for it. Like, how did you discover that aggregate? Obviously, we talked about how you got into it and why you got into it, but what was their push on like how you find that?
Well, a lot of that was just what they expected of us to do our own research. Yeah. You know, just did a lot of research on the industries, you know, locations of where certain mines were at because, you know, when I first got into mining engineering, everybody's, you know, all googly-eyed over gold and, you know, things like that. And as I started to mature and really start to think about, you know, where would I want to raise a family? You know, what are my long-term goals? And I just made the personal decision. It's not the same decision for everybody, but I wanted to get into aggregates because it's everywhere and it's stable and steady, and it's not something that I have a fear that's going to be going anywhere anytime soon. But it's and you said it exactly what I was going to touch on was that it might not be the position that you want right out of the gate, but I know from experience, like if you start out in a position, there will be a position open up somewhere. Oh yeah. Whether it's in that company or somewhere else, and then there you go. You can just roll right into it and get that opportunity.
As long as you're able to show the initiative, you know, that you want that. Like there are some people out there that they'll just go into a job and they're just like, yeah, I'm content doing just this. I'm not going to do 110% effort. But those are the kind of people that really don't last that long in the industry anyway. Yeah. But like, if you're coming in as a young guy, looking to be humble and learn, and just find a company to learn and experience the industry in,
just getting the foot in the door.
Yeah. That seems to be like the growing. Like I hear that exact same thing across the board. No matter what industry it is, it's like just get the experience and learn through the experience what you're passionate about. You know, because the thing is like, if you're not passionate about it, you're never going to be successful at it. Mm-hmm. You're not. It's not going to last. You know, in your book. You know, it's going to be there for a little bit, and then you're going to get bored of it and try to find something new. You know,
move on.
Yeah.
That's a shame.
Well, man, I've kept you too long already, so we'll wrap this up. You know, I was joking with you, Jacob, that the last 2 nights I've stayed here, there hasn't been a single soul down in this lobby. And the one night that we try to do this podcast, and there are, I don't know how many people out there.
Hey, man, it's really, though, like, wasn't even paying attention to him. I appreciate the time. Yeah. It was awesome, man. Thank you for coming down, and had a great time with you. So
yeah, it was really cool to get to meet everybody, and hopefully we'll be back out again, and I surely hope we will. Yeah. And be able to experience some more. And, well, thanks for jumping on the podcast, Jacob, and we'll end it there. And, guys, I really appreciate all the feedback we got on our first episode. It was really cool. I didn't expect it to get, like, any views or listens or anything like that, and we did pretty decent on it. So I'm excited. If you guys are listening to this and you thought it was any kind of benefit to you or benefit to anybody else, please share it, like it, comment, whatever it is. It really goes a long way. So we're just trying to build a community and try to just sit down with some bourbon or some scotch and talk industry.
That's right.
Yeah.
Mining.
That's it. Well, we are out of here, guys, so we will close it out with a nice song. So thank you guys for listening to the Built on Blue Collar podcast. This was episode 2 with Jacob Hinton. See you next time.